everyone. I am Matthew Thomas. This is Super Cool Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check this out. I got a really great guest with me at this time. He's the lead vocalist for Vancouver British Colombia-based punk rock band, the Black Halos. Please welcome Billy Hopeless.
Hey, how you doing? Super cool. You might hear in the background that my faithful sidekick Bean, he's trying to get in on the conversation because, Bean, like, he's a superstar. He's a star. Like, he's really, his ego is so huge now. It's just, yeah. Good thing for a hangover.
Definitely the best thing for it, for sure. But I appreciate you and your dog making the appearance here on Super Cool Radio. So before we really jump into everything, so obviously, Black Halos, a punk rock based band, been around since the early 90s. So for you, like, how'd you get into punk music?
Well, see, when I was a kid, my older brother was sort of like into like British glam and new wave, anything that was new and groundbreaking. So same with my dad. My dad was from England. So, it's sort of that edge came in. And I remember as a kid on TV we had like one channel, and in the dining room, there's the TV in our dining room had one channel, and there's a show on cable access called Soundproof out of Vancouver here, and they'd show like, early punk videos and stuff before any other channel was showing. It's like, Friday night videos and video shows weren't showing that stuff. So then they'd have like DOA on and, Art Bergman and the Young Canadians and the Subhumans as guests. And anyways, I'd watch that, and it was pretty groundbreaking to me. And it sort of led to me falling into the Vancouver punk scene and hanging out with meeting guys like Joe and DOA and Randy Rampage. And, it really sort of lumped me in where I just sort of jumped on in. And the Ramones, of course, on Don Kirshner and stuff, seeing the Ramones was huge. Like the Dolls and the Ramones on shows like Don Kirshner and the Midnight Special used to be on TV. Seeing bands like that just changed my life too, right? I mean, the Misfits, during the 80s, the Misfits, it was, but stuff like that, it really led to like instant love, right? I sort of knew what I wanted to do. Before that, I wanted to be like, probably I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be Batman, and then I wanted to be Ringo Starr because I saw a Beatles movie, and then I wanted to be Ace Frehley because I saw Kiss, and then Joey Ramone, yeah.
All legendary people you just listed that you wanted to be, and honestly, that is that's like a perfect list of people.
Yeah, if you combine them all, it'd be pretty cool, I think. Like, you'd have a spaceman, crime-fighting spaceman who's, like, from New York and the Bowery. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
That sounds like a rad comic book idea.
Yeah.
Well, that's really awesome. Definitely very influential people, like, obviously, on yourself and, obviously, many other people as well, but they're legends for a reason, and just their the musical status as well. And again, really great people. And obviously I'm a huge punk fan, obviously why I'm chatting with you. But yeah, Ramones were one of the first bands I started listening to. Then it was like Black Flag, and then it was Dead Boys. It just kind of that's where it started with the Ramones.
Yeah, I think like they're like the Fisher Price of punk rock, right? Pretty much. The Ramones, they're sort of like the gateway drug, I'd say. There's really that, and the Dolls. I'd say the New York Dolls, just like to me, it was like there's something really magical about that band that sort of tied in like towards that. There was called punk and some called glam at the time in New York. That whole scene, seeing the Dolls, stuff like that. Yeah, it was really groundbreaking. The New York scene was really big, but Vancouver was great because it was like here. It was really accessible because there's the home front, right? So, like you say, me and Joe have been friends forever. Randy's gone now. Chai Pig, coming to Vancouver, and Chai as a kid. Canadian punk rock is really, it's one thing I think touring, that when you tour and meeting other bands, that really sticks is the influence of Canadian punk rock. One of the things that we really have to be proud of is that we've created some of the greatest punk rock, in my opinion, and the groundbreaking punk rock. Like, DOA, a great example is I played these shows at another band going for a bit, and we played these shows with the Misfits and two different bands I was in after the Halos broke up, and playing with the Misfits. And Jerry Only, I remember backstage at the Commodore, he looks at me, he comes up and he goes, "Hey, so I saw your guest list. You got Joe Keithley. That's Joe Shithead, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Our first gig we ever played with the Misfits was in New York, and with DOA, we opened for DOA." You know, it's a little fact that, you know, the first show the Misfits ever played was with DOA. And I'm like, "Wow, that's awesome." He's like, "So can I meet Joe? It'd be really great to see him again." And he's coming, right? I said, "Oh, you know, hopefully he's on the guest list." And when Joe showed up, Jerry was just like, "Ah!" And, you know, same with the Offspring touring. When we played with the Offspring, they're like, look, Noodles walks by me in the backstage. He looks at my DOA Murder shirt. He goes, "Where'd you get that shirt?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's been around forever. You know, it's got holes in it, and it's kind of." And he goes, "I saw you wearing it on stage." And he goes, "Man, DOA, that was one of the first punk bands I ever saw." And yeah, pretty amazing. That sort of, like I say, underrated by some here in Canada, but really the huge influence. Duff McKagan. I mean, Duff. I narrated a movie called, a documentary everyone should see. It's called Bloodied But Unbowed: The History of Vancouver Punk. And I got chosen by, it's actually Randy Rampage who told the director, "You have to get Billy to narrate it." And me and Randy being friends, and it's pretty cool because you got like Duff McKagan going, same thing, just going Randy, and he went in, I think, Bass Player magazine saying the top bass player and most influential bass player in the history of punk rock and rock and roll, Randy Rampage. And you're like looking, I remember Randy was seeing that and going, I'm over at his place, and he goes, "Look at this," and he shows it to me, and he's like, "Randy Rampage, the most influential bass player," and he's like, "Oh, Duff's awesome." And I'm like, "Yeah, Duff's cool." But yeah, it's weird. Same Social Distortion. I can say so many bands that have just like Johnny Two Bags going, "You're friends with Joe from DOA." I'm like, "Yeah." Him and Randy, are they back together? I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Is Chuck playing drums? Because, you know, if he needs another guitarist, tell him that I'm in, because that's my dream lineup. That, you know, the most best band that ever lived." And I'm like, wow, you know, yeah, they're friends. They're my buddies.
I mean, definitely, and you know, it is very underrated. Like the influence DOA, as you just listed, all those scenario incidents where people know who DOA is, and we're so excited that Joe was going to be there, and all that stuff. It just shows how influential they are, and also underrated, because not like you don't hear like many, like the people who know, but outside of that, not many people talk about DOA.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing, like touring, as I say, touring in Spain, and we went to a place and all they're playing was Canadian punk rock. And I introduced them to Slow because they had never heard Slow. It's like, "Oh, you have to listen to Slow." And another band that I think was just killer, but they didn't get as really, I think, as worldwide recognition. But, you know, like the Subhumans, it's a weird, crazy thing. I grew up with a Japanese family when I was a kid, as sort of my second surrogate family. And I wish I still had it. But I remember we'd go to this Japanese store and I'd buy like Japanese superhero books because they were cooler than like Batman and Superman. You know, they were like riding motorcycles and had giant robots and stuff. So they were way cooler than missiles. And yeah, I thought they were way cooler. But anyways, there was this 3D book on punk rock. And I remember it had like, DOA was in that. And along with the Sex Pistols and the Clash. And same thing, you know, you're a little kid and you see that and you're like, "Oh, look, punk rock." And you look at the pictures with the 3D glasses, you're like, DOA. And you're like, yeah, Vancouver, yeah. The Subhumans, you know, Wimpy, rest in peace. I would say Incorrect Thoughts. What an influential album and worldwide known. And how SNFU, I'd say, rest in peace, I miss ya. That like SNFU, the influence of SNFU on punk rock in general, where bands, you know, like the Circle Jerks and so many bands all say it. They're like, SNFU came out and Chai Pig on stage, that the band was incredible, but Chai Pig on stage, it was mind blowing, you know. And it's kind of weird because now, you know, I hear that with us at times, and I'm like, I'm kind of, you know, we're kind of humble about it, But at the same time, I look and I go, yeah, I get it. And, I'm really grateful if someone feels that, because hopefully the chain carries on the same way it did with me, right? Hopefully someone sees it, hears us or sees us and goes, oh man, yeah, that I want to do that. I want to be in a band. I want to play music like that, because the world needs more good punk rock and more good Canadian punk rock for sure.
Oh, definitely. And I know some people, have talked about this, about rock music, but I also heard about punk music as well. They say it's dying out. What's your thoughts on the current state of punk music?
I think it's always going to be around. There's always going to be some dissatisfied person who's dissatisfied with the crap that's being pumped out of them, and the spirit goes into it's not even just punk. It goes into hip hop, rap. It goes into metal. It's just a spirit of people are disenchanted and dissatisfied, and just rock and roll in general with the mainstream pablum they're being fed and garbage, and that go, hey, I'm going to do something different, or I'm going to do something raw and wild. And I think that's really, that's what punk rock, the spirit is to me. It's basically going, here, we're going to make something that's a bit less undefined, like unrefined. Like Elvis, I think the first time the word punk was used, I think was in Elvis Roustabout, where old Carney looks at Elvis and says, don't go playing any of that punk music. Right? And what that meant was Elvis was playing raw rock and roll, which was unrefined to the bourgeois ears and the Gentiles. So, that's, I think, yeah, jazz was like that, blues was like that, gut bucket music, as my dad would call it. But I think it's always going to be there. There's always going to be someone who turns on the radio and goes, when they hear, and that's the Red Hot Chili Peppers, followed by the Foo Fighters, followed by Pearl Jam, followed by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, followed by the Beastie Boys, followed by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, followed by the Foo Fighters, followed by Pearl Jam. It's going to go, no, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear something else. And if, like with us, when we started, that was it. We were kind of the tail end of grunge, when all the old metal guys were suddenly being bought out by record labels and made into bands, where you had your Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, stuff that I think they saw Pearl Jam's success. They went, wow, grunge, yeah, well, this Kurt Cobain guy's hard to deal with, and Mudhoney, yeah, same thing. They're a bit harder to sell. Let's make a more commercial version of that. So we were at the tail end of that, and when we came out, people were going, yeah, right, yeah, we're not into that stuff. But we made the band basically because we didn't like anything that was going on. We were going, well, if we can't go see our favorite band, let's be our favorite band. And if all we're buying is old Johnny Thunders records and stuff and Dead Boys records, well, maybe we should start making music like that. And then we found other bands that were out there doing the same, that had the same feeling. And we're like, well, we want to make music like this because there's no one doing it. And we like this music. We don't want to just listen to the oldies.
Oh, definitely. And that's kind of what, that's kind of how I found punk music. It's it was raw, it was gritty. It was just different. Yeah. It was a different style of music that doesn't get much love on the radio, but you can find it's very accessible, especially with the internet now. It's it's very easy to find, but it doesn't get much love on the radio.
Yeah, I think we're kind of Chai Pig said to me one time from SNFU, said to me, he goes, when it comes to being underrated, he goes, we never got played on the radio. And he goes, DOA only gets played on the radio when it's now, when it's there's something going on, they're playing a show or something. He goes, you guys got played on the radio as well as on music television, on MTV and Much Music. And he goes, you guys were played on the radio, on major rock radio. I said, yeah, we were kind of lucky. I don't know how that really worked. Bands like us, you don't expect that. And yeah, I think, it is. It's that weird thing. It took forever. I hosted a punk show on CFOX Arts, or major rock radio. I was co-hosting a punk show. And I remember I played The Clash Complete Control. And a guy from one of the other radio stations that's in the same building came running in. He goes, I can't believe you're playing this. This is probably the first time this has ever been played on, well, at least this station, but maybe any station. And I said, yeah, isn't it crazy? It took how many years for you guys to play Train in Vain and consider Train in Vain by the Clash like, okay, this song, yeah, we can play this on classic rock radio now. It's a classic. But you don't play any other Clash songs. And same, like they'll play Blitzkrieg Bop now on the radio. You'll hear Blitzkrieg Bop, but you won't hear like Slug or Loudmouth or, you know, you won't. Maybe I Want to Be Sedated if you're, you know, you'll get that occasionally. But there's so many. The Ramones had more than 2 songs, and Clash had more than 1, right? And that's sort of it. Like you don't hear a lot of stuff. I say it like they do this thing, mandatory Metallica now. Same thing. When I first got into, like, I used to be in a speed metal band when I first started, and speed metal was kind of the same way, and thrash and speed metal were kind of the same way. That, yeah, you weren't hearing Metallica on the radio until the Black Album, and like, you know, how terrible that was, and yeah, Enter Sandman, and even then it was kind of, now it's like mandatory Metallica on the radio. But you don't hear Motorhead, do you? And I think Motorhead is just as legendary, if not more so, and they don't dare even play Ace of Spades, even, for hell's sakes. They won't even play that. And same with punk. Like the Misfits are pretty damn, I think. Even if people don't know the band, they know the Crimson Ghost Skull. It's pretty. That enterprise is pretty damn huge, and pretty legendary. I don't get why they don't play that stuff on the radio. It doesn't make sense.
And honestly, it's fortunate with a lot of bands, like you know, and you just listed a lot of great examples. But like for me, when I was growing up, it was like no one's playing Iggy Pop. I would hear like maybe 1 or 2 Alice Cooper songs, and that's about it. And it's like there's so much great music out there from these legends, and like Motorhead's a prime example. I don't know if that's ever been played on like actual radio, like FM radio.
Exactly. How legendary! Like, come on.
Exactly.
I think everyone knows that. I think now, like, maybe the old people are still old people are still hanging on. Some of the grandpas might not, but you know, for generations after that, you're pretty much up with the Beatles and the Stones in notoriety.
Exactly. It's mind-boggling to me. That's why, like, I started my show, my podcast. I was like, there's all these cool, like, legendary household names too, and they're not being played anywhere else, like in my area.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of still makes it cool. It's unfortunate, but it makes it kind of cool, because I said when we started out, and I'm still finding bands that, you know, I'm like getting introduced to bands or by other people, like Rich is really good at, or I find bands and I'm like, hey, you heard these guys? And it's stuff that nobody's heard. You pass it on, and it's kind of cool that way, right? It's kind of still underground. Now, I kind of like that in a way where it's still, I hope everyone would be like, good music would be heard by everyone and appreciated by everyone, but it's still kind of cool to me when it's like, yeah, man, you know, you ever heard these guys?
Yeah, exactly. And like the cool thing about me is, like, I play a lot of the legendary acts we just discussed, but also I feature a lot of like up and coming bands who I find cool too. So it is very underground with it, at least with like my mentality with it. But it's just so cool just to feature good music, not Metallica because we have to play Metallica. No, that's boring. Everybody does that. Let's do something different.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it because the old stuff's still really cool and it's still worth playing. Like, you don't get jaded the same way where people will do that and it's like, oh, I only play unheard of bands. Oh, I'm not going to play the Ramones. Everyone knows them. And you get that. It's like, you know what? No, the Ramones are awesome. Fuck off. Play the damn Ramones, but also play that stuff. I mean, don't deny the greats. Don't deny things because it's that great. I used to have a real problem with that where, like, I'd catch on to stuff a bit late because I'd hear TV shows or something and be like, oh, everyone likes this. I can't like this. And then there's like, I'd watch it and go, it can't be good because everyone likes it. And then I'd watch it and go, oh, I get why everyone liked it, because this one was really good. You know?
No, exactly. There's, legendary. And this is more than just music. This is, movies, television shows, aspects of culture as well. If it's something good, everybody can like it. You don't have to not like it because everybody else likes it.
Oh, yeah.
And, the Ramones are badass. I love Iggy Pop. I got to meet Dead Boys earlier a few months ago, and I was like, I never thought I would have this opportunity, you know, when I first started the show.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff. It's, you know, for us, that's like, I remember a night at CBGB's when we were playing at CBGB's, and yeah, Jeff Magnum was there and Bebe Buell, and like, you know, we're hanging out and I'm talking to Jeff Magnum. Then it's, hey, you want to go see, and you know, Howie and Jesse from D-Gen would be around, but he said, you want to go see Matt, our bass player at the time, came up and said, hey, you want to, Jesse wants to know if you want to go see this show. It's Joey Ramone and some Ronnie chick. And I'm like, Ronnie Spector? He goes, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, from the Ronettes. Yeah, and I ended up meeting Ronnie Spector and kissing Ronnie Spector and getting kissed with Ronnie Spector, but Joey was in the hospital. But it still is like one of those moments where I'm like, oh my God, it's Ronnie Spector. And I just hung out with Jeff Magnum, and then we're going to Handsome Dick, Manitoba from the Dictator's Bar, and it's like, teenage me still gets a kick out of stuff like that. I'm still like, oh my God, meeting Paul Stanley in Europe from Kiss. And I was like, when I was a kid, I used to dream of this, and I got to be honest, and you know, I had pictures of you, and he goes, dreams do come true, Billy, in his Paul Stanley voice. And I'm just like, teenage me, preteen me is just going, yes. Playing with the Dolls, the New York Dolls, that was completely like that. I was like, you know, you try to keep your cool, and I end up looking at Johansson going, hey, Dr. Frankenstein, meet your monster. And I'm laughing, and Sylvain and Johansson looking, going, oh my God, if the little kid who was watching Don Kirshner staying up past midnight to watch Don Kirshner's rock concert is now just come full circle. He has met his gods. Yeah, I'm always like that. I'm always like, you know, you guys are my elder gods. I am just a demigod, but you are elder gods. You are the ones that paved the road that my van breaks down on. We played in the bottom of the hill in San Francisco, and Joe Baffer was there, and I remember he's like, Stim Baders, I thought you were dead. And in my normal drunken state of being on stage, I said, I am Billy Hopeless, and we are the Black Halos, and your children will know my name. And I pointed at Joe Baffer and said, someone call my dad a taxi. He's drunk. Yeah. But, yeah, it was kind of that. It was like, you know, I'd like to be known as, I like doing covers and stuff, but I don't want to ever be known as Stim Baders, because I'm not. I'm Billy Hopeless, and I'd like to be known for being Billy Hopeless. You know, you can't, like Bruce Lee would say, you know, martial arts. To martial arts are an art, to truly express oneself honestly, and that's hard to do, baby. And that's sort of where it comes down to, you know, like the same thing. I like Kung Fu a lot, and I think with music it's the same thing. Be yourself.
Exactly. And now we had a really great conversation. We got to get to talking about the brand new album by the Black Halos, How the Darkness Doubled, just released. So how was it? Like, because obviously the Black Halos, they regrouped. It's like your first new original music since you guys have regrouped. How was it writing and recording the new album?
It was really kind of cool. It's weird because like we played these shows. We went and played in Spain, and me and Rich got back together and played in Spain and had a great time. And we sort of said, well, you know, since we've done this, why don't we start writing an album? You know, we're hitting it off again, and let's write an album. We did a couple songs and put out a couple 7-inches. Then we convinced Jay. We convinced Jay to come back in, and having Jay back is incredible. But it's weird because we went and played these shows in Vancouver and Toronto and sold out shows. And, you know, it's our first time with the new lineup, got the new lineup together, and Jay back and Rich back. And we're all like so happy and everything's so good. And then COVID hit. And it really sucked because they're all out in Ontario. I'm on the West Coast, they're on the East Coast. And we're so separated, but COVID hitting, we're like, well, we can't travel, we can't do anything. But it gave us time to write, I think. It really gave me and Rich time to sort of like write from the distance and write send each other stuff, and we've always been like that. I mean, when me and Rich writing, it's always sort of been that way, where even when we lived in the same city, we'd go, hey, meet me on the street somewhere, and we'd meet and pass each other a cassette tape. Here, listen to this. And then write on it and record it on a cassette tape and pass it back. So it's kind of familiar, like the old school way, instead of writing in a jam space, but it's really good because we got to pick out, I think we got to work songs more and really pick out the songs that we thought were the best. And we're good that way. We're able to be honest and go, nah, you know what, that one, maybe not. Try something else. Let's try something else and not get hurt by each other, right? We're able to sort of go, yeah, I'm sure you can do better. But yeah, it was great because, yeah, and then I flew out to Ontario and recorded. And same thing is that we got this guy, Dave Draper, to master, who's amazing, does the Wild Hearts, tons of great bands. And mastering is really important, but recording, we wanted to use Jack and Dino because we've always used Jack, and he's sort of been like the sixth Halo. We wanted to use him, but it just didn't work out, so we ended up doing it ourselves. And it's kind of cool in that way too, because I think a band really knows what a band wants to sound like. And when you bring someone else in, a lot of times they're like, well, you can't do that, or no, you can't say it can't sound like that. And no, that's ridiculous doing that. And you look and go, this is how we want to hear it, right? How we want to hear it and how we want the album to go. And no one else can tell us. And that's kind of cool because, yeah, we're very stubborn in that stuff. I think we kind of hate when someone else takes our art and changes it for us.
Well, it's kind of going along with the last point you made about, you know, being true to yourself, being how you want to present yourself. It is different when you have someone come in giving you like, hey, we should change this or do this. You know, it is different when you have other people doing that. When you have a nice vision and idea in your own head.
Yeah, you're still open. You want to be open, but no, if it's something you don't want to do, don't do it. And you know, we had a couple of majors. Sort of major labels, bigger labels, try that stuff on us and go, hey, you know, we'd like to sign you guys and take your contract and sign you. And every time I was sort of like, they're going to make us look like the chicken band on the Burger King commercial or something. They're going to change us. They're going to polish this. And nah, that's not what when we started, I always tried to keep in check. When we started, what did we want to sound like? How do we want the band to sound? And when we started, why did we start this band? And I always keep myself in check and go, no, I don't think so. You're going to try and polish us, and maybe, it would be great money-wise, because let's face it, money is good, but no, I don't want to do that. It's something I love. I'm not going to sell and just go and whore my love, right? You know, that ain't right.
Oh, yeah. And then honestly, and it's something, if it's something you don't like and you put out, then it's kind of like a like a bump in like the music that you do want to put out. It's like, hey, don't pay attention to that. You know, we did that for the money or whatever. You see a lot of bands, they put out an album and
it's scary though. Like this new album, it's amazing how it's taken off. Like we're kind of dumbfounded. You know, it's sold out on vinyl the first day of the reception. The reviews have been killer. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy for us because in some ways you're like, wow, we knew that people liked us, but we're getting praised like this. That's kind of crazy. You know, we're the stupid good lookings. We're, you know, the mutts. We're the mongrels. I mean, it's kind of crazy in that after all these years, but I think it is like people wanted something real again. The timing's right. People want something real, and they're getting fed this crap and constantly fed this crap, and they're looking going at something good, the quality. Like you don't want McDonald's. You want something that's good quality and real, but still dirty and gritty. Like your favorite greasy spoon that actually makes that breakfast you go and eat. And you go, oh man, that's the best breakfast. Yeah, it's still greasy and probably terrible for me, but man, they do it right.
That's a very good point. I know with like, social media and stuff, there's a lot of polished stuff and there's a lot of like fakeness and not, not a good a representation of real life. And I think that's what people are looking for nowadays. They're looking for something real. They're looking for something gritty. They're looking for something authentic. And you guys definitely delivered with the new album, How the Darkness Doubled.
Yeah, thanks. That's what we wanted. So I think we achieved what we wanted to, and that's the thing. It's really cool. It's a good feeling to know you achieved what you set out to do. I think that's a real pretty. It is a real. But when you feel it, like I say, everyone thinks their baby is beautiful. Now, some babies are not beautiful, but it's that thing where, and honesty is such a lonely word. It's a hard policy, to thine own self be true. But then with other people, you're always like, yeah, like the Seinfeld thing. Yeah, that baby's really cute, but you can tell sort of the difference. And yeah, when you're looking at your baby, going, yeah, this baby, yeah, I really love this baby, and then other people are looking at it going, man, that baby's awesome. It really, it does. It really makes sort of like it wouldn't matter because we really write for ourselves. And I say it's like Dr. Frankenfurter. I didn't make him for you. We write for ourselves, but you still hope there's other people that feel the same as you, because then you ain't lonely. That's punk rock.
No, that is a great summarization of punk rock music. I completely agree. And I really dig the album, but also, you do write and record it for yourself, but also you do hope that when you put it out, you get good reception, that people actually connect to it and feel what you're feeling as well.
Oh yeah. Definitely, because I say you don't want to be alone.
Exactly.
You hope other people feel the same as you in a way, because then you don't feel like your feelings are, it's communication. Like as human beings, our communication thing that, if you're feeling down, music has helped me. Music's helped me through the hard times. It's given me the best music background in my celebrations. It's pulled me through the hard times. And if you're feeling something and someone else feels it too, united we stand, together we're strong. And it really does help to know, hey, you're not alone, that there's someone else out there. And same with musical taste. They say, as a kid, like, there was bands that I liked, and you'd go to a record store or something, and you'd see someone else at the same section looking through music or with the same T-shirt on, band T-shirt, that you're like, you thought you were the only one. And you're like, the allegiance is instantly built. Hey, you like what I like, a great shirt. And the person goes, oh yeah, thanks, man. And you like end up talking about music, and you make friendships that way, right? It's a great thing about music and I say in general, and punk especially, is that some of the best friendships in my life and the greatest bonds, right? And it's been sometimes shows where it's been like, yeah, there's 5 of us here. But hey, there's 5 of us here. And because of that, we're like, we have to stick together, because here come the Skins, and we're gonna have to fight our way out. Now it's 5, 5 against 10, and you're looking going, yeah, the bond is built. That's instant. Or the walk home, the late walk home, waiting for a bus after a gig, and it's so many things that drunken stagger home, and it's like, oh, you missed the bus too. Okay, let's walk. Yeah, the friendships I built.
Exactly. And I really like how you said that. And so I like when you go to shows, you talk to people, it's like, well, we're all here to see similar bands and similar music. That's why we're here. That's why we pay the ticket. That's why we come out. Let's talk, let's have a good time. We're here because of music.
Oh yeah, bonds people together. And that, and as I say, same with the feelings. And I really am picky about lyrics. I'm really picky about songs and lyrics and the feeling. Craftsmanship is something I really do like. I either like really dumb or like really good craftsmanship in lyrics. And it's either got to be like Dayglow Abortion, just like complete idiocy, the early Dayglow stuff and all, where you just laugh, like some of the simple DOA fuck you, Subhumans fuck you. It's got to be really simple or real, but there's got to be feeling. There's got to be something to it, right? And craftsmanship's very important. Like I feel gifted with Rich and even the guys in the band, and even our 2 new guys, John Kearns and Danny Action on drums, that just gifted players and what they add to it and the craftsmanship of songs when it comes down to it, that everyone takes it serious and goes, okay, this is even if it's like spray painting on a wall, let's make sure the message gets across and that it's really good.
Exactly. And I think the biggest thing, and I think what some bands are like, is just the authenticity about it. They don't actually feel what they're singing. They don't actually feel what they're playing. And I think that's why people seek out more raw and gritty music, is because it actually feels authentic. There's bands that just play for like Spotify algorithms or just to play to get radio play, and that's not why people listen to music.
Yeah, no, people, it does. Like you say, I've had some really amazing moments. The song "Fuck from the Start," that song is really, I've had people like get the tattoo, the FFTS tattoo. I've seen a bunch of those, and it's kind of cool because like it's not like people usually go and getting it because they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna get it, and they're like, man, that song, and they tell me how that song hit them, and I love it when I hear something, I go, it helped you through. Or it's my friend who died. It was his favorite song, and what he was going through, and I'm like, you listen to that song, you totally related to it. I'm like, man, that's amazing to me. That's when music is really valid, when it reaches someone, and either they say, yeah, best song of my life, gave me some of the best parties, or it's that it helped him through, and gave him something. I think that's when music's really valid. And I love that's been one of the great things about playing in this band. I think it's one of my favorite things. Be like, well, what are you most proud of? I'm like, I've said one story over and over, which still is the deepest story to me, but there's been so many, and just knowing that, going, I can't believe how much it reached people. But then hearing the personal story things about it, aspects, I'm like, oh yeah, man. I'm not just writing some rock song that anybody could write, but I wrote something that really did something. That's awesome.
Exactly. I had a guest on who said that music, it helps you express feelings that you can't exactly express yourself, and I think that is a great way of saying it.
On this album is a song "Ain't No Good Time to Say Goodbye." We put it out as a single because, as I said, when I talked about Chai Pig from SNFU, Chai was like a brother. Sometimes I'd feel like it was almost like a lover, but yeah, he was just like one of my greatest peers. I'd say, from the first time we met, we just like hit it off, and we'd talk and be able to talk about music and life and our feelings, and just go for lunch and just have drinks and just but talk anywhere, and just run into each other, and it turned into this really great meeting. But when Chai died, I was really heartbroken. I live in Gastown. He moved everywhere we lived for the last 3 places. As he said, we were 3 blocks away from each other. We just had a really tight bond, and it's very, very deep brotherly bond. And it really hit me. I was really, I was so crushed and Rich. And still, I start crying when I think about this every damn time. Rich said, well, they want to do these murals for Chai, one in Edmonton and one in Vancouver. And we put out a benefit single and record a song, do a benefit single, and to help get the murals done. And I said, oh, that'd be. He goes, I think you need to vent, and you need to vent. Write a song, and you need to let it out. You're not letting it out. He goes, I can tell you're bottled up. So I wrote this song, and it was like sort of an anthem to Chai. And Rich went, nah. Once again, nah. I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's really doing it. Let me write some music. And he sent me the music, and I was like, instantly the lyrics came, and I'm crying writing the lyrics. I'm at work, and Rich sends it to me, and I'm at work going, I do overnights in social housing, create the vampire shift. So I'm walking around this building, social housing building, and I'm listening to it, and I'm in tears, and the lyrics are coming out of my mouth. And I did. I cried and cried, and I still, like, as you see, I get tears in my eyes. And it's really because, like, that is one of the hardest songs I've ever had to sing, I've ever written. And it's because I really cared about him. And every time that I play it, just talking about starting to play it live now, and I'm like, really? What, you want everyone to see me cry? Is that what you want, Rich? And I think it's that it's still going that it's worth it. If it makes me, if I'm crying for you, Chai, that means that yeah, the feelings were valid. You know, it's a emotion in song, like feelings behind songs. That one's for me. Where I'm like, yeah, I think the most for me, that song where I go, yeah, putting it on the album and listening to it, I'm like, let's skip that track, please. But yeah, I'm like, but it's kind of good for me because it reminds me of how much that guy meant to me, that little pig meant to me, and
Yeah,
it keeps me thinking of him, right, and keeps him alive, and that feeling alive. That yeah, you know, I'm so lucky to have had him in my life, and
for sure. And I really appreciate you sharing. And it's music invokes those feelings and those memories. It's crazy how that actually happens, and have such strong connection. Obviously with Chai, but also with the song as well. Now it's a nice tribute and memorial to him every time, and obviously it still invokes feelings and emotions for you.
yeah, my favorite lyric in the song is, "If you're hearing this song, one of us has been put down." And that was because, yeah, he was in the hospital, and he came and saw me when I thought I was on my deathbed in the hospital, and he explained to me after that he was wearing a pig mask and a business suit and the whole head pig mask, and he came at like 4 a.m. I was hopped up on drugs, and it seemed like a drug delusion. But I said to him, I was like, did you come? You came and saw me in the hospital, and you hugged me and held my hand, and it said, I thought it was a drug delusion. He goes, I hate hospitals. I've got a fear, an anxiety of hospitals, and a real fear of hospitals. So when he had been in the hospital a couple times before that, I'd always go see him because I knew that he had this anxiety and fear of hospitals. And the last time when he died, and they pulled the plug on him at dinner or lunch with his family, and took his family out to lunch, but they pulled the plug on him, and COVID was going on, so I couldn't be there, and it really killed me, right? And I was like, that pulling the plug on someone. I don't know if you have pets or you've ever had a pet, but putting down an animal is really, really heartbreaking. I still, like dogs I've had in my life, I still think about them, and same thing, want to get tears about the day I had to put them down. And yeah, so Chai was sort of the same feeling to me in that line. Yeah, if you hear this song, one of us has been put down. That was like, yeah, like I am an animal, and so was Chai. And yeah, that's when you're in that animal world, the animal kingdom, and you see another one that's like, if you're in a dog pound and they pull that one dog out, and it's going to get put down. It's that feeling to me that when they pulled the plug on him, that unfortunately they had to. And yeah, but yeah, one of us has been put down, man. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. I do appreciate you sharing the great story, but also I think because of the situation where you couldn't visit him, that you didn't have that quite closure yet.
No, exactly. And that Rich, I'm really thankful for Rich pushing me to that point of writing one of the songs that I say in Rich says, I said, put it on the album. I don't know. We put it out as that benefit thing. I kind of want to keep it special. And Rich was like, but it's so good. And I said, I don't know if people like our fans and stuff are really going to like that song so much. It's really depressing, and kind of, it's not a kick in the teeth or anything, and by any means, it's somber. I don't know if our fans and Rich is like, it's a really great song. It's really, really a great song, and I don't care. You know what? It deserves to be there. It's a really brilliant song, and I was like, yeah. But once again, you're gonna make me cry, Jones. Yeah. Skip the song, skip it, please, skip it. But yeah,
no, I'm
it's
really
good
glad.
for me. I think it is good, and that's the also thing. Like you say, putting on the album, that I've always thought a good album has something for everyone, and it's like an emotional roller coaster in ways. Like a good album, you don't want a flat album. It's easy to write a flat album and just be stuck in one mode. I'd like to, when I listen to an album, I like an album to like have different levels. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think we did that too.
Oh, definitely, and express different emotions as well. I think it's important. You can't just express the same emotion over and over for a full 10 songs. You have to give variety. You have to change up. You have to show different side of yourself with each song
Yeah,
as well.
I'd hate to be like the Swans or something, even though I like stuff like that. Bands that you put the record on and you want to Lou Reed, Berlin, you just want to slit your wrist right away, right? The whole album, you're like, oh God. The next song comes on, you're like, oh God, no more, no, until you really want to stick your head in the oven or the gun in your mouth,
Exactly.
But I'd hate to also just make all those albums that like, hey, everything's all this and we're all on this. Those albums are great too, but I like a bit of difference. I like variety. When I order pizza, I don't like to just have one type of pizza. I like to have different types of pizza. Same with girls.
Very, very good way of putting it. But as I'm wrapping up this interview, what is I really appreciate chatting with you. So what is the plans for Black Halos for next year, 2023?
Well, we're gonna go on tour. God help us. God help my liver. God, it's dog help us. We're definitely gonna start going out and playing shows and get out there. And we're writing. We want to start writing because it's writing new stuff is always. It's like when saying about finding new bands, writing new songs is always exciting. And I think we're doing really good right now. So, me and Rich back together, the greatest songwriting partner I've ever had in my life and probably ever will have in my life, and that combination between us. And I hope Jay contributes some stuff because Jay actually has written some songs on other albums that I really feel grateful to be a part of because he can write. Jay can write really great songs too. But yeah, I just want to create new music and make new art. And get out on the road and get playing again and meet people and eat at different restaurants and stay in different places. I want to see places and see people more than anything. Like I want to see people again. Get out there.
And that's the live part of music is extremely important. So I do hope you guys get out there, new music, new tour, all of that stuff. I do hope all that happens because I definitely look forward to rocking out with you guys at some point.
Yeah, it's the best and worst thing I could ever do to myself. It's kind of good when you feel caged, like pent up and caged, and it's kind of good because then when you do get released, you burst, and the energy that comes out is like tenfold because you've been trapped up. But I don't want to be caged my whole life here. I need to get out and be free and I need to run.
Exactly.
Right. So I ain't running hard enough lately with this way it's been with COVID and stuff. I'm glad the ball's rolling and the train's going, I can't wait till the brakes are off and we're like racing down the corkscrew and just going, oh God, again, we're gonna die again. Here we go, we're gonna die. But I love that. I love when the roller coaster gets to the top of the hill. I can't wait to go. I just can't wait to scream. Scream again.
It's the most fun and most terrifying part of really anything in life. So I do hope you experience that. I know that the Black Halos are going to come out still alive at the end of it.
Oh yeah, we've survived more than I think most bands. If over I think it's been like 20 something, close to 30 years now, and I think it was Joe from DOA said to me when I was telling him some of the stories from touring. He goes, our people don't believe our stories. No, he goes, you guys, your stories that you're telling me, he goes, these are completely unbelievable. And I'm like, but they're true. The thing is, these are all true. And I shake my head. It's always, you laugh about it now, but at times it was like, are you kidding me? Like, ye gods, why do you throw this upon us? What did we do? And I remember we were on tour with this Christian pop punk band, Fillmore, and everything was rosy and good for them, and everything was perfect, and everything for us was like living hell. And looking and going, maybe we chose the wrong team because I don't know, Black Halos. Maybe we should have been called the White Halos because welcome. Look at those guys. Look at how everything's great for them. God's on their side. God hates us. And yeah, I think that sort of comes in where I'm like, yeah, but we like the challenge. So you know what, God? Throw it at us. You can't beat us. We're unstoppable. We're cockroaches.
That's right. Black Halos aren't going away anytime soon, and they're always up for a challenge. So we'll see what happens in 2023 for you guys. But
all right, we'll see you then.
But Billy, I really appreciate chatting with you. Thank you so much for a really great conversation. Make sure to check out the brand new album, How the Darkness Stumbled, available out right now on all the streaming platforms. Check it out. But Billy, I really appreciate hanging out with you. Thank you so much for dropping by here on Super Cool Radio.
I love Super Cool Radio. It's awesome.
Well, I really appreciate it. For Billy Hopeless of the Black Halos, I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.
Stay frosty.